Hi, this is Sapna Bhatia and welcome to TFR Insights. Today we have with us Adam Carmi, CTO and co-founder of Applitools. Adam, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Since you're one of the co-founder, tell me a bit about Applitools. I've talked to Applitools earlier also, but I want to hear your perspective that when and why you created Applitools, what problem that you're trying to solve?
So basically, Applitools provides a next generation test automation platform that uses AI to enable engineering teams to release high quality web and mobile applications much faster than they can today and at a reduced cost. So the way that we work is that we use AI to emulate the human vision, validate entire application pages just by looking at them. And this saves the developer, the tester, the need to write and maintain thousands of lines of equivalent test code. And when the UI changes, we clearly show the before and after screenshots in our dashboard. So instead of having to fix the test code, the user just needs to accept the new screenshots or report a bug if the change was unexpected. We also go a step further and use AI to eliminate common repetitive maintenance tasks, and I'll be happy to elaborate on this later. A third aspect that is unique to our platform is the ultra-fast grid, which allows our customers to execute their tests on hundreds of different combinations of browsers, devices, and operating systems, and to do that in orders of magnitude faster and more stable compared to traditional device grids.
Who would be your typical target audience? Who would you consider them?
Almost every business in the world. The main way in which it interacts with its customers for any reason, marketing, sales, support, customer service, again, anything at all, is through applications and websites. There's hardly anything that we need to do today to go get into our car and drive, make an appointment and see, a clerk to get it. And because of that, all these businesses realize that the user experience of these applications and websites is critical to the success of the business. It's a competitive advantage, and because of that, they invest huge amount of money and effort into building those applications, and of course making sure they work on their customers' devices. Okay, and this is where we come in, and so. In terms of which types of businesses we target, then each and every vertical and each and every business you can imagine, from software companies to financial institutes to healthcare organizations, legal, government, education, any business works. And within each of these businesses, there are software development units, right? So just like any software company. And we have among our, the people that use the product, it starts with the developers that use it as a unit testing tool to test the components that they build, moving to end-to-end testing. So these would be the QA teams, the test automation teams. As I explained in how the product works, it drastically reduces the amount of code that you need to write. So most of the work itself is done through the dashboard, the maintenance work. So it's very common to see all the manual testers doing the maintenance. So they participate a lot in this work. It's not just down to the automation guys. And of course, besides that, we have designers that are now capable of keeping track of every change that happens to the application and validating it. Product managers that can see in real time the progress of the development of new products. We have DevOps guys that monitor applications in production, making sure that nothing gets broken, that some microservice fails, or we have even companies that use this as a security tool just to make sure that no one hacks into their websites and defaces it. So it's all over the place.
In today's world, every company has to be a software company, and if you're a software company, you have to have a cloud strategy, you have to have a mobile strategy. So yeah, every company is your client. Can you talk a bit about the product portfolio that Applitools has? Is it SaaS-based? Is it something that these developers run on their local machines?
We support a variety of deployment options. So maybe just before that, so we have a few deployment options. The first one is what we call the public cloud. It's a SaaS offering, basically. We have a public cloud, which is a big multi-tenant cloud with tens of thousands of users there, of customers working there. And basically, this is how Many people, they just start at the low end, just sign up and start using the product. They use it that way. The second option is what we call a dedicated cloud, where a company can purchase its own site. Basically, it's a similar cloud, but they are the only tenant there. So it's completely up to date, 100% managed. They don't need to install or download. We keep it updated, releasing fixes and whatever and new features like on a daily basis. And you don't need to worry about it. You just get the software as a service, but with the additional security that you're the only tenant with your own storage account. You can, restrict access to the server just, from your own, to extend your own network to it, IP restrictions, VPN, etc. And the third option is to actually deploy that same server on-prem. So companies that are very security conscious or that are obligated by regulations where cloud is really not an option, or if they're testing like, customer data or things like that, then you can actually, they provide their own servers. We deploy our server behind their firewall, and that's it. Nothing goes out to the internet at all. It is still important to highlight the fact that even when you work with the cloud, then there is no inbound access required to the organization. So we provide the teams with SDKs that actually can interact with the application under test behind the company firewall. And this SDK actually communicates with the cloud. Just if you can do a Google search from inside your organization, you can work with the cloud. There's really no need to open inbound access from our cloud to your organization, no tunnels, no firewall access rules, etc. So it's really straightforward in security use.
Can you talk about the tools, the services? They also keep getting updates. So can you talk about how frequently you update it? What does your update cadence, release cadence looks like? And are there any new features that were added to the latest update?
So again, we have multiple teams that are working on different parts of the product, for example, and some of them release incremental updates that just make the product better, and we release these as soon as we can. So if the algorithms team improves the algorithm in any way, maybe 10 times a day, we'll release it, and it will be completely transparent to the users. If the backend team fixes a bug or add some new, make something faster or more optimized, then we just push it to production, and it can happen several times, again, a day, a week. We don't wait. When we do UI changes that actually require, that causes changes for the end user and require us to, prepare maybe some documentation on what's new and let the user get used to these new features or allow them to opt in, then this waits, and maybe if every 2-3 months we have a release like that, it actually changes or affects the experience for the user besides making the product better. So actually, just yesterday, we released such a version 10.10, that has some exciting additions around our AI capabilities. And I'd like to tell you a bit about that, if that's okay.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
I'd like to tell you all about this auto maintenance thing because I think it's quite an amazing capability that people should know about. So first of all, let's start, with some background why it's needed and what it's all about. So when we look at teams that are doing traditional UI testing today with the traditional way, functional testing with tools like Selenium, Appium, etc., doing coded assertions, then we see that across the board, teams are spending anywhere between 40 and 70% of their time doing maintenance. That's a huge amount of time. And when the UI changes, they have to spend all this time to analyze test results, understand if the change is because of a bug in the product or just the test breaking. And there's only a handful of people in the organization that can do that. And then those same people need to go ahead and fix the test if they are broken. Now, this means that there is very little time left to build and automate new tests. And this creates a big coverage gap that keeps growing and growing. And this is like a huge pain that I'm sure that every test automation practitioner or manager that listens to this knows what I'm talking about. Now, one of the outcomes of this is that no matter how good your automation is, you probably still have many more testers that are actually manually doing regression testing because test automation just doesn't keep up. So Applitools, just by the way that I described the way that it works, that it basically grabs entire screenshots of your application and analyzes them, and then just shows you what changed, and the entire maintenance process is just to accept the change if it's valid, relying on AI. It means that, first of all, that the bottleneck of only test automation engineers with coding skills can do the maintenance is gone. Everyone in the team now can assist. If it's a product manager, a tester without coding skills, or developers, or test automation engineers, it doesn't matter. Everyone who knows the product can look at the change visually and say, yeah, that's what we intended to do, and just accept it, and you're done maintaining. But even beyond that, opening this huge bottleneck, there are many maintenance activities that we can help with. Now, what can AI do in that situation? Now, first of all, it cannot do everything. So, for example, with all my experience with AI, one thing that I don't think we'll ever be able to get to is decide on ourselves if a change is expected or not, or if a change is a bug or a feature, right? The reason I believe we cannot get there is just because, on a day-to-day basis, I see my own employees that I really respect argue between themselves about these things. One guy likes it, one guy thinks it's ugly, one guy thinks it's okay, one guy thinks it's a bug, right? These are subjective matters, and only people who know what's expected or in charge on making such a decision can make that call. However, once they have made that call, which is the human feedback that is necessary, we can have a machine take this decision and apply it everywhere that it can in order to reduce the repetitive work, the hours that you then need to do to fix things according to this decision. So let's give you a few examples of what I mean by that. And this is, by the way, what we call automated maintenance, okay? So, for example, let's say that you change the header in your website. We flag it for you and say, hey, I noticed that the header has changed. What should I do with it? Then all I need is someone from the product team to give me a thumbs up that it's okay, or a thumbs down that it's a bug. Once this feedback has been given, a click of a button, our AI can go over all the different pages of your application, all the different devices and browsers and form factors and operating systems that you've just tested it on, and apply this decision. I won't ask you 500 times if the change in the header is the same across all these different environments. Similarly, you don't even have to look at those 200 cases one by one, because you can just ask the tool to show you only unique differences. And in this case, I'll just show you the change in the header once, and you won't even have to look at so many things to begin with. Now, this is the type of features that we had in the product for a while now, and we've just added a few new ones in this new release that are pretty exciting. So, first of all, that system right now can automatically identify dynamic region on your page. So if there is a date or some image that keeps replacing, or an ad or something like that, what the system will do today is that it will realize that from your test results and tell you, hey, I think there's a dynamic region here on that page. Again, the system cannot be 100% sure that it should be dynamic. Maybe it's a bug. It will ask you, is this a dynamic region? And if you say yes, that's it. It marks this area as a dynamic region across all your test baselines and expected test results, and you don't have to do anything beyond saying yes. Similarly, if your application changes, okay, and you just added something to a page or increased the margins or whatever, and everything shifted around, it will automatically detect that and suggest to you, hey, was this intentional? Do you want me to adjust all those dynamic regions or annotations that you've placed on the test results? Do you want me to adjust them to their new location? And with just a click of a button, I saved, you don't need to do, 10 hours of work going over 10,000 expected test results and fixing them, Okay, so things like that are pretty helpful. And just to give another example, there are many of them. um, let's say that I don't know, the page changed, and because of that, everything shifted, and a lot of things are marked and highlighted as a difference. Again, the system can detect that the difference is due to a change, and it will actually tell you, look, there are additional content changes besides the fact that things moved. Okay, do you want me to just highlight those so you don't miss them out? And if you say yes, it might be that things shouldn't have moved in the begin to begin with, but if it's okay that they moved, it can still show you that besides the button moving, you have a typo in that button. Okay, so it's a lot of features like that that go a long way in saving you hours and hours of work every day, allowing you to really scale up your test, keep up with coverage, and not waste time on maintenance and doing mundane tasks. By the way, the last thing I want to mention is something that is not very obvious, but along with the differences that we highlight as screen changes, we also capture the DOM and CSS and basically the code that is causing this image to be rendered. And one of the things that we can do, we also have AI that looks at the differences in the screen and highlights the difference in the code that led to it. And then again, it's another form of automated maintenance because we can save you a lot of time figuring out what caused this difference, especially if some developer in another team did it. He was working on another page, he did some change to the CSS, he broke something in your page, he had no intention to do it, but you also have no idea where this came from. In situations where the bug reproduces once in 100 runs, or only when there is specific data, or maybe in a specific environment that is different to set up. In this case, you already have the code and everything shows you exactly what changed, as opposed to working now hours to try and reproduce it and figure out what's wrong. So I'm very excited about this new features and this ability to even just suggest them to you, even if you're not familiar and aware that they are there. I think it's a quite amazing addition to our platform.
Adam, thank you so much for not only explaining what Applitools is doing, but also giving us, how this visual AI based is helping developers become, because they should spend their time in things that adds value to their businesses, not in mundane tasks that are just kind of plumbing. So once again, Adam, thank you, and I look forward to talk to you again.
Thank you very much. I look forward to it too.